Continuing my bad idea of watching these Rocky, Soraya, The Doll movies in the wrong order, I've now moved on to The Doll 2, the movie that inspired Sabrina and leaves far more questions unanswered than I could have hoped for. What made little sense in Sabrina, the previous movie I reviewed, now kind of makes sense to me, but boy oh boy did I get a lot of the details wrong. But now I have a new bugbear with this movie series. With the exception of The Doll 3, why are these movies supposedly about evil dolls when the damn dolls don't do anything? In part 3, the Bobby doll is brought to life and at least acts like the Chucky doll I expect it to. But so far these Sabrina dolls are nothing more than passive passengers who occasionally move their eyes from left to right. Hardly riveting stuff. In this movie we follow Myra, who I met in the sequel Sabrina, so this movie does leave me with a lot of questions. Who is mourning the death of her spoilt brat daughter Kayla, who died in a fatal car accident. Myra and her friend Elsa decide to play a spirit game after being explicitly warned not to by the housemate Yanni, but in a move that no one saw coming. They're disturbed before they can finish the game, and Kayla's spirit remains behind, somehow infiltrating the hideously ugly Sabrina doll. But Kayla's spirit has revenge on her mind. She knows why she died, and she wants everyone else to know as well. Alongside spirit medium Bularas and her awesome brother Bargas, who never made it to the sequel and was instead replaced with a love interest, they help Kayla's spirit achieve a gruesome and bloody revenge before they finally realize she's probably gone too far and they need to stop her. So this movie uses a slightly less uglier version of the doll from Sabrina, the follow-up title. But as we can see from the plot, this movie is all over the place. If I thought Sabrina had unkillable characters, then The Doll 2 is far, far worse. Without giving away any spoilers about what happens at the end of the film, there are two characters who get absolutely destroyed. And I mean losing an eyeball, repeatedly being stabbed, or falling off the second floor landing onto a glass table, shattering the table and leaving massive shards of glass stuck in their skin. The plot holes in this film are massive. You could land multiple jumbo jets between all these holes. And mostly I would be okay to ignore it, like I did for The Doll 3, if the movie was fun and enjoyable ride. But this really isn't. Firstly, Myra is an annoying character. And I realise this more now than I did when watching Sabrina. She constantly makes bad choices, and it's impossible to feel sorry for her, even after all the tragedy she suffers. Second, this movie really highlights how selfish and insufferable all the characters are. The best example I can give you is when the psychologist gets almost fatally injured. No one calls an ambulance to help her for hours. Her assault happens in the daylight, but the paramedics are called in the evening. Why? Then there's the ridiculousness of the end sequence that takes place in a heating duct. This raised many questions. Die Hard 2 showed a realistic heating duct. It was cramped and dark. In this film, not only does it make no sense for a house in Indonesia, one of the warmest countries on the planet, to have such a heating system, but its layout is so massive and confusing, it appears to span the distance of their entire housing estate. I love my horror movies to be ridiculous and unrealistic, but I think this movie just takes it a little bit too far, and a complete waste of a doll as well. This isn't a killer doll movie, this is just another Indonesian possession movie using a very weak Javanese legend to call the spirit. This movie is an utter write-off. Now, let's go watch the original Doll movie. I'm the Artie Danza. You are watching Shockmania. Press like if you enjoyed the video, or if you liked the movie yourself, maybe consider subscribing if you'd like. And otherwise, I'll catch you next time where we will look at the first Doll movie.